What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, just welcome. My name is Gemma Jade, but today we are going to be discussing animal mutilations in the UK. So guys, I came across this article and thought it would be very remiss of me not to bring it here and share it with you guys. Most of us have heard of the cattle and animal mutilations going on here in the United States, and I'm sure other places as well, but it seems here in the United States, it's either being reported more or happening on a way more regular basis, so it can't be like swept under the rug as efficiently, or so it seems now. At least it was. 1967 is when the whole animal mutilation thing seems to have started, or at least started being reported on. But it's not just slaughtering, obviously, it's the animals, mainly cattle, being literally mutilated in bizarre and oftentimes unexplainable ways. The animals are almost always exsanguinated. They're usually missing organs, and the limbs, as in all of them, are even broken sometimes. Recently, it's come to light that the broken limbs seem to have come from the animals themselves. Whether dead or alive is unknown, had been dropped from a very significant height. These animals don't fly, so in my opinion at least, that's a major red flag and problem. Extreme heat is often found to be used in order to cut the animal's skin open to get to the meat inside. I'm talking sexual organs gone without a trace, eyeballs nowhere to be found, and tongues sliced right out of the animal's mouths. Theories are running rampant, but unfortunately there's no actual answers. And really, again, at least in my opinion, nothing really reasonable has ever been presented outside of the extraterrestrial and or paranormal communities. So let's talk for a minute about some of the theories that have been buzzing around the community at large and see where y'all stand. Of course, and in the #1 spot are extraterrestrials, right? This theory has the ETs, and I'm not even completely sure really like which race of ETs, doing genetic experiments on the animals as well as us human beings, and they're just not slaughtering us physically and killing us off, not enough for anyone to have noticed yet. So basically it's like they're not slaughtering us and mutilating us as far as we know, so it just, that's what they're doing to the animals. One thing's for sure though, if it is them, their intentions are absolutely dastardly. There's the one where Satanists or other occultists are using the bovine for ritualistic and sacrificial slaughterings of all kinds. The military, possibly working at the behest of the government or just for themselves, are testing new weapons of biological warfare. And last theory, but definitely not the least one, the United States government is secretly mutilating these animals, again, cows specifically, because they fear that there is some crazy disease or virus in the meat, and that the people, the public, may have possibly been affected, and they're trying to find out before mass hysteria. I leave a question mark on that one, guys, I've got to say, because I admit I'm not sure that I understood exactly what that theory even really means. The government's thinking, what disease is the government thinking it is that's in the animals that could have possibly affected human beings for? Like, why do they think this, and how is mutilating animals we eat in this way going to tell them anything at all? This also got me thinking of the missing people we're always discussing. And I know, I'm always thinking in everything about the missing people we're always discussing. Could it be that the government somehow knew an animal they ingested was infected, and then... Okay, sorry. Mental rabbit hole. Moving on. The people who mainly discuss this subject, okay, and there's no judgment here, guys, because I'm the one who started the discussion. Y'all are just following my lead, and people in the ufology community and conspiracy theorists in general. But what I'm bringing to you today is something that seems to be much lesser known and almost never discussed, but is an absolute fact. Animal mutilations, the same macabre, heartbreaking, disgusting, and confusing slaughtering of these poor animals, mainly cows, yes, I'm going to keep repeating that, is all happening across the pond as well. And when I say across the pond, because I'm in New Jersey in the United States, I'm talking about in the UK specifically. It's actually nothing new there and seems to have been happening for a very long time. It's just that for whatever reason, it's not being discussed. And I want to start that discussion today, right here. But before we get into all that, please lend me your ears for a minute or two while I discuss today's sponsors. Sponsors are a good way for me to be able to bring you guys better content, which I've been trying to do for a really long time. So, Nail Reserve Los Angeles is sponsoring this video. They were kind enough to send me a base coat, a top coat, and 4 colors of my choosing. They are a vegan, cruelty-free gel UV nail polish. People are saying, Gemma, if you like it so much and you're endorsing it, then why aren't you wearing it? Because my nails are so short from putting acrylics on that it doesn't look right. I can't paint my nails. I have anxiety, like I shake, but I am doing a video where I am painting my nails and my toes, and I'm going to show you guys how absolutely beautiful this nail polish is and how amazingly it works. I got a really cheap UV lamp, so if you have a more expensive one, it'll probably work even better. The stuff doesn't chip. I left it under the UV lamp, each coat for 90 seconds each. That's not a lot of time, guys. 90 seconds for the base coat, 90 seconds for the top coat, and in between a color of your choosing. This is cherry soda. I have this on my toes right now. The best thing, this is a summer but also a winter holiday red, okay? It's fun, it's flirty, it's vibrant. What you see is what you get, and you guys know I love what you see is what you get. Look how beautiful that is. It's the exact same color they're presenting to you. They also have really fun names. This one is my favorite because I love, love, love green. Dusk at Sea. I've actually worn this one once or twice already. I just really love how bright and vibrant and non-chipping the polish is, guys. I also chose Aqualicious, which is a beautiful bluish, purplish color, okay? It's really, really super dark, but it still has a summer vibe to it, and that's one of the reasons I chose it. And last but not least, I have the Precious, which is a sparkly pink, because I love me some sparkly pink. It's not that kind of sparkle though, where you get like one little dab of glitter. It is glittery, okay? So if you love pink and you love sparkle, grab that one. They have other sparkle colors if you love sparkle. For a limited time, if you click the link in the description box for Nail Reserve Los Angeles, you can get 50% off your entire order of 2 gel nail polishes or more by typing in code GemmaJ, capital GEMMAJ, for 50% off, guys, half price. When you do this, take pictures of the colors you got. Tell me the name of the colors because the names are so cute. And just let me know. I want to see the colors, okay? And I'm ordering more myself. Thank you so, so, so much, Nail Reserve Los Angeles, for sponsoring this video. My first sponsor. I'm super excited, and that's why I love endorsing this company. They're vegan, they're cruelty-free. Check them out, guys. Now let's get back to the topic at hand. There's a tiny little village in central England called Pelsall, and it's super duper old. Like, we're talking about established in 994 AD. This village is not only known for being basically ancient, it's just a 5-minute drive from where something happened that is considered by some to be the most paranormal and by some arguably the most bizarre and controversial events of the entire 20th century. It's massive. None of this would make any sense, though, if we didn't first discuss a man named George Idalgy. George was the son of a priest, and in 1903, he lived in the nearby town of Great Warley, where all of this went down. In the same year, George was arrested and charged for mutilating horses in this area of his hometown and the nearby villages. He was also eventually convicted and therefore almost immediately forced into the media and public spotlight. The authorities and people in general believed this man was wandering around farms in the dead of night and for no reason other than ritual sacrifice and occult practices, okay, and that's a quote, slaughtering and absolutely destroying mainly horses, but animals in general. The deaths of these horses, and more so how they were killed, caused a great deal of public fear. People also no longer trusted George's father, who, remember, was a local priest, and before all of this, he had kind of an iffy reputation too. The citizens were angry, and George's whole family was shunned and basically held to blame for his alleged crimes. It's said that, aside from his father being a man of the cloth, the Idalgys were new to the area and had only been there a few short years, and in those years they were looked down upon by the entire community from the very beginning. I looked for a reason for this, but you know, sometimes back then in 1903, I don't know how it was in England, but it stands to reason the same as here. Like, if you weren't from there, you were automatically suspicious. There was so much publicity given to George's case, it was basically unheard of for an incarcerated criminal, regardless of the alleged crime, to receive so much public attention back then. They didn't have televisions, you know, they didn't have social media. I think they had like the newspaper, right? In fact, so great was the publicity that Sir Arthur Conan Doyle himself got wind of what George had been accused of and paid close attention to how it all played out. It seems to have really grabbed his interest, or at least that's what's said. He kept track of any and all news and even concerned himself with how lengthy the prison sentence Idalgy was going to be given. Conan Doyle fully believed in George Idalgy's innocence, however, and was very, very vocal about that fact. He thought the entire thing was a complete miscarriage of justice and a travesty. This is pretty significant, especially for way back in 1903 when there was no television and no social media, as I said. For someone with as much celebrity as the creator of the hugely successful Sherlock Holmes character, his vehemence in defense of George did not go unnoticed. He even wrote to the authorities and proper officials outlining his case as to why George Idalgy was innocent, and even rallied a group of supporters and complained loudly and non-stop to the government about all of this. As a direct result of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's influence and with the help of others, an early release was set up for the alleged criminal. There is only one known book that discusses the issue of cattle mutilations in the United Kingdom, and that book is called Killers on the Moor, The Case of the Dartmoor Ponies and Beyond, and it was written by a man named Mike Freeberry. I was able to find the publisher's summary of exactly what the book's about, so here it is. Quote, on Easter Monday, 1977, a man and his family were enjoying a walk on Dartmoor in southwest England. As they approached a small remote valley below White Tor, they were horrified to come upon the twisted bodies of 4 Dartmoor ponies. The ponies' necks and backs appeared to have been broken in what must have been a very violent attack. Worse was to come when more dead ponies were found only 100 yards away. In total, 15 animals were found dead and mutilated. The police and the RSPCA were called in, but despite detailed investigations, they were unable to give convincing accounts of what might have happened to the animals. So they had no freaking clue. Mike Freeberry became interested in the case due to the press coverage in 2000. He was to discover that horrific, unexplained animal deaths and mutilation have been occurring all over the world for many, many years. As he became more fascinated by the phenomenon and began to investigate incidents for himself, he somewhat reluctantly started coming to a conclusion. The mutilations appear to be a sampling program by an extraterrestrial intelligence, and evidence is being systematically covered up and denied by government departments worldwide. End quote. As you may have noticed, the book focuses mainly on one particular incident that took place on Easter Sunday in 1977. This was obviously long after George Idalgy and that whole ordeal. On this particular day, a number of ponies were found dead out in the wilderness in a place called Dartmoor in England. The problem is, the only time this incident or the book itself is ever discussed, and it is discussed very much, is in the small and often spread out paranormal communities. I mean, we're divided, right? What I mean by that is in 1977, it wasn't socially acceptable to speak of such things, and people usually did so in small groups and in very private places. It was kept secret if you had an interest like what we have or like something like this. This is well after the spiritualist movement of social seances and fortune tellers being invited to other social gatherings. Therefore, it should go without saying that this event was relatively unknown and actually still is to this very day. When do you ever hear of cattle or other farm animal mutilations having happened in England? At least in the United States. Go ahead, I'll wait. If you live over there across the pond and you have heard of such things, please let me know in the comments below, and if possible, send links to my email of the information, because I can almost guarantee this will be news to most of us. Dartmoor itself as a town is said to have a bit of a creepy and eerie, unusual sort of vibe to it, and the author does a great job at really conveying that feeling to the reader. Though obscure and almost unheard of, this event is one that most likely isn't going away, regardless of how some authorities and government entities may be trying to suppress it. Mike Freeberry is somebody who makes no secret of the fact that he fully believes extraterrestrials are a part of whatever it is that went on that fateful Easter morning. Not only that, but he discusses other cases, again, mostly obscure ones, but also talks a lot about cases of this that are happening, which are very well known. The book makes you think, that's for sure, and if this subject piques your interest, then I highly recommend that book. Plus, it's literally one of a kind, as it's the only one of its kind on this particular subject. The stories in the book will certainly hold the reader's attention, as Mike brings in all types of conspiracy theory-like topics. Black helicopters, secret government entities involved in massive conspiracies, alleged messages from all types of extraterrestrial entities, bizarre and as yet unheard of creatures, and even crop circles. It doesn't stop there either, but you get the gist of it, right? This guy went down the rabbit hole about as deep as I usually do and came out the other end, fully believing, as I previously mentioned, that extraterrestrials are responsible for this phenomenon, possibly with governments providing help inadvertently by trying so hard to cover up for all of the clues that point directly to this being the only possible answer. So by them going through all this trouble to try to like sweep this under the rug and hide it, they're just making it easier for people like Mike and people like us to be like, hey, like, What are you guys running from? What are you hiding from? I mean, I, for one, am definitely a believer that aliens definitely have something to do with or are possibly solely responsible for the farm animal mutilations. I'm going to move on to something that may seem out of place, but I promise you it's not. Let's talk about the big cat phenomenon in the United Kingdom. Examples of this are the Beast of Bodmin, the Beast of Exmoor, and of course, the Beast of Dartmoor. And if you haven't heard of any of these, then you're missing out, and I also recommend you do some research. Fascinating, like the big cat issue in some national parks of North America that I've previously discussed with you guys. Big cats that don't belong and shouldn't be where they are allegedly being sighted. Okay, so what in the world does this have to do with mutilations? If you haven't already put two and two together, I'll make four for you. On a bright and sunny, clear spring day back in 1992, a man named John Downs was having a conversation with a police officer who was from Middlemore Station. There's lots of Moors over there, ain't? Anyways, Down was someone who researched and actually went out into the fields and looked for these alleged unknown animals, and he was also the director of the British Centre of Fortean Zoology. I am tongue-tied today, I'm so sorry. So John Downs and this police officer were discussing the aforementioned and so-called big cat sightings that were being sighted throughout the British counties of Cornwall and Devon for decades or more, even at that point. The unnamed officer asked Mr. Downs if he was aware of the fact that in the late 1970s at a place called Newquay Zoo, there was a series of bizarre and gruesome animal mutilations which happened under very suspicious yet entirely unexplainable circumstances. When John Downs had replied that he was in fact not aware that this had taken place, and the officer, to his credit, put Mr. Downs in touch with the man who was the head zookeeper at the time that all of this took place. Of course, he wasted no time in tracking the man down, but the former head zookeeper was now old and ailing. His health was fading fast, but despite all of this, he was able to confirm the basics of the story at least, and that was a start for Downs and also a push for him to want to investigate further. This is where it all gets even more strange than it already was. The former keeper explained that there were strange animal deaths at the zoo where wallabies, geese, and even swans had been not only beheaded, but that their corpses had been drained completely of blood. Mr. Downs said the former keeper stated, quote, "There was no blood left in the animals at all. I had the area UFO compositor, or whatever he called himself, come down, and the suggestion was that it was beings from outer space who came down and needed the blood, or whatever else it was that they drew out of those animals to survive. It never developed any further than that. I believe that he got a radiation count in a wallaby paddock at that time," end quote. When Jonathan Downs asked if the culprit had ever been positively identified or located, the answer was a resounding no, and then the still unnamed former zookeeper told him, quote, "But the same thing was happening all over the world, I can tell you that," end quote. He also told Downs he didn't believe in the extraterrestrial hypothesis, but thought it more likely the culprit was, quote, "black magic or a witch coven," end quote. Also, the man said he believed another possibility was the big cat theory, and that's of course that the ones allegedly in the area caused this type of major mutilation and damage. He even alleged that his opinion was backed up by the fact that there were allegedly, quote, "giant's paw prints," end quote, found in the area at that time. All of a sudden though, after mentioning it to Downs that there had been these large prints found in the vicinity of the zoo when the mutilations and the exsanguinations were occurring, he suddenly terminated the phone call, and that seemed to be the end of that. However, Jonathan Downs would not so easily be deterred, and also he had a sneaking suspicion that the old man was definitely hiding something from him. Downs felt that the former zookeeper was keeping something to himself and not telling everything he knew for whatever reason. Downs couldn't know, but he felt sure that this was the case, just intuitively knew it. He decided to let it go for a little while, but thoroughly intended on revisiting the conversation at a later date. He never got the chance though, because the elderly and ailing former zookeeper died within 48 hours of terminating that phone conversation with John Downs. It said he died of basically natural causes or causes related to his failing health and age, but Downs always felt the situation was just strange. It was just weird that, like, yeah, he was sick all this time and then suddenly he dies 48 hours after terminating a conversation where Downs knew he knew more. But you can say on the other end, he was sick all that time, so eventually he was going to pass, you know, it can go either way. He really thought the series of events and how it all unfolded was very, very weird. Here's another case that stands out a lot in my mind that I found while researching this surprisingly, seemingly now worldwide subject, and that's the case of Nigel Wright. This went down on October 1st, 1997, so a little bit more recently. Nigel writes at this time was part of the Extraterrestrial Phenomenon Research Group and had also co-authored a book with the aforementioned John Downes called The Rising of the Moon. Nigel stated of the October 1st event, quote, "Approximately 3 weeks ago, 2 young men were swimming in Otter Cove, Lyme Bay, Exmouth, England. As darkness drew in, they decided to make for the shore and change to go home. As they got changed, one of them looked out to the sea. He saw what he described as a quote-unquote greenish light under the surface. He called to the other young man and they both watched as the green light rose to the surface of the water. The next thing they knew, there was a very bright light shining into their faces. They turned the scene and fled," end quote. On the following day, a dead whale was found washed up on the beach below the cliffs. This did not appear, though, to have been merely a tragic accident. On receiving reports that a whale had been found in precisely the area where anomalous lights and a strange creature were seen, Nigel Wright launched an investigation. He recalls, quote, "The first thing that struck me as I looked out on the scene was how perfect the carcass was. There was no decay or huge chunks torn from it. Then, as I wandered around it, I noticed that there was only one external wound in the area of the genitals. A round incision the size of a large dinner plate was cut right into the internal organs of the mammal. The sides of this incision were perfectly formed, as if some giant apple corer had been inserted and twisted around. From the wound hung some of the internal organs," end quote. So, while I hate to leave you guys on a cliffhanger like this, what the hell is going on? You have to admit, whether it's happening in America, the UK, or anywhere else in the world, this is extremely strange and yet somehow at the same time fascinating phenomenon. I definitely will be discussing this at more length in another video or two, and I definitely am one of the many who subscribe to the extraterrestrial theory. Though admittedly, as of right now, I have no idea why I feel that way. I think maybe the further along I get with my research into ETs in general and all of the different species of what they could possibly be doing here and which ones are possibly here for nefarious purposes and those that are here for nothing but good. I mean, it's so massive, right? I might perhaps find some semblance of an answer for you guys and for myself. I doubt we'll ever truly know, though, not with any certainty or much, if any, factual evidence to back up whatever we do find, because then it's just someone making claims. At least, I don't think I'll see anything like that in my lifetime. That's all I have for you today, guys. Please give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed spending this time with me, if you enjoyed the content. Subscribe if you haven't already, and please share out with your friends, anyone who you think would be interested in this content and or my channel. Please don't forget Nail Reserve Los Angeles for 50% off if you click the link in the description box and type in coupon code GemmaJ, capital GEMMAJ. Also, if you'd be so kind, go on over to my other channel, MoonBearOracle, and subscribe there if you haven't already. It's not really moving forward right now, but it will be very, very soon. I'm downsizing, okay? If you want a copy of my first book, Missing the Fae Theory, there will be a link in the description box for the paperback and Kindle version on Amazon. If you want a signed copy, please email me at GemmaJadeParanormal@gmail.com and I will get that sent out to you. Also, my new book that I did with Steve Stockton, Encounters with Evil, 101 True and Terrifying Stories, all right? This has a lot of my personal experiences in it, okay? It went #1. I am now a best-selling author, yay! Dream come true, guys. If you want a copy of this one and the other one, just this one, just the other one, email me at GemmaJadeParanormal@gmail.com if you want it signed. Otherwise, click the link in the description box. There will also be the paperback and Kindle version of this as well. There will also be other videos that I did about extraterrestrials, you know, the seeding, the hybridization programs, the reptilians. I've covered a lot throughout the past couple of months. So if this is confusing as to how this might have popped up, or if you're new to the channel and are interested in that type of stuff, please go on down, click them, check them out. If you'd like to make a donation to the channel, my PayPal and Cash App links will be in the description box, as well as my Patreon. If you donate $20 a month or more to my Patreon, you will automatically receive a personal intuitive oracle reading remotely from me to you automatically every single month to thank you for your donation, as well as all of the other perks that I'm soon going to be offering and what I already put out. Also, if you'd like to send me a gift instead of money, Amazon wish list gift link. You can find decks, you can find crystals, you can find all different types of stuff there that will help me out getting the channel moving and running, and for my merch and everything. I started my own business, drop shipping from home. I still cannot find someone to help me with a website, but let's just go with word of mouth, all right? It is manifestation and intention sprays, and if you don't know what that is, there is a very short 10 minutes, 8 to 10 minute video in the description box where I discuss what it is exactly I'm doing, so I don't have to go into great detail here at the end of this video like I always do. Hit me up at GemmaJadeParanormal@gmail.com or MoonBearOracle@gmail.com if you're interested in my manifestation and intention sprays. If you live in the continental United States, it's $18.95, shipping included. I still cannot get it out to the rest of the world yet because shipping prices are absolutely ridiculous. I might start selling on Amazon next month though, so fingers crossed for that. On Wednesday nights, join me and Ghost Dragon CW for live intuitive oracle readings from 7:15 to 11:15 p.m. Eastern Time every single Wednesday. If you come in, I will pull one card, a random card from a random deck, come one, come all, first come, first serve, and I will give you a weekly reading with that one card if you want one. Some people come in, they don't want readings, they just want to hang out, and I absolutely love that. It's an amazing community, guys. Come on in, check it out, see what it's all about. If you would like a personal intuitive oracle reading from me, either remotely, where you give me your information, I just do it and send you a private link that only you and I can see, or one-on-one for an hour over a video chat, hit me up, MoonBearOracle@gmail.com. The same goes for manifestation sessions, help with clearing negative entities and energies from you, energy blockages, chakra cleansing, all of these meditations and rituals that I can either teach you how to do within the hour, help you do with you. Guys, I really want to help the collective consciousness shift from 3 to 5D. So give me that chance. Hit me up about these things. GemmaJadeParanormal@gmail.com, MoonBearOracle@gmail.com. All the links in the description box. Just read the description box. It's a little bit long, but it does have all of the information you'll need to get in touch with me, what I offer in my business end, what I offer on the channel end, and if you have any encounters with the supernatural, paranormal, extraterrestrial, otherworldly, weird, strange, bizarre, scary, send them to me. They might end up in a book like this in one of these days, but for now, they will be in my Listener Encounters series. I do have 16 coming, guys. It's been hectic. I had to take the 2 weeks off. Bear with me, okay? Like y'all always do. Be kind to each other. It doesn't cost anything. Be kind to yourselves and never accept anything less than others being kind to you. Always go in grace. Smile at a stranger, and I'll see you guys next time.